Welcome back, guys, to Harbour Unboxed for another episode of Unboxing Boxes. I feel like I've been doing one of these every week for a while now. We've had plenty of stuff to get through. As you can see today, we've got 5 boxes / packages, so we'll get straight into them. Won't waste any time with any updates or anything. Straight into it. So I'll move this one over here, and it's pretty obvious what this is. I'll give you guys a look. Actually quite excited to get into this, the wet bench. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Praxis wet bench. Praxis is a brand of PremoChill. You guys have probably heard of PremoChill. I believe they're US based. Anyway, haven't had much to do with them, but I first saw this beauty at the Upgrade Australia 5.0 event a few weeks ago. Those of you who watched that video would have seen what I'm talking about. I'll throw some B-roll up for those that didn't. But basically, I went past the PLE Computers booth and they had a very cool looking test bench setup, which I commented in the video I very much liked. Anyway, those guys are really cool, as it turns out, because they reached out to me and said, "Steve, do you want one?" I of course said yes, and they promptly got me one. So here we are. So inside we have a nice bit of foam with what looks like probably the instruction manual and all the bits for the test bed bench. There's a lot of layers. Okay, so as you can see, I have the white version. I believe it's white and black, this version. Looks like it's mostly white. Actually, it could be all white. It actually matches the Tower 900 build very nicely. Not that the two are going together or anything. Here we go. I believe these are, this is the black. So the acrylic pieces are black. They would be the side panels, and you can mount pumps and things on them and run tubing through them. So very cool. Towards the end of the show, I'll probably put this together and show you guys. I'll do a separate video anyway on this because I think it's very cool. But we've got a bit to get through, so I won't waste too much time just yet. But yeah, big thanks to the guys at PLE Computers for sending this out for me to use for one of my test systems. Probably do a Ryzen system or something with this. As I understand it, in the US, you can get this, the wet bench, it's like over a dozen different color options. Here in Australia right now, PLE Computers, I believe, are the only retailer that are selling the wet bench, and they have it in the white black or the red black models. And they're selling them for $270 Australian, which is pretty pricey for a test bench, but because it's such a sort of a custom thing, the pricing generally is fairly high on them. And it's 185 US anyway, so there's not really a huge markup or anything for it being sold in Australia. So if you guys are after a really cool test bench that can take advantage of liquid cooling and all that sort of stuff, probably a lot like what you'd see on Jay's 2 Cents channel, then this would be the thing to get. But anyway, I'll set this up soon. We'll take a good look at it. For now, we'll move on. Right, so this next item, I know what's in this, so I won't keep you in suspense. It is my new Samsung S8 Plus phone. And those that follow me on Twitter will probably know quite a few weeks ago, I actually got my Samsung S8 Plus. This is another one. It is a replacement. So here we go, brand new replacement S8 Plus. Why do I have a replacement S8 Plus? Well, here is my current S8 Plus, new ones here, and it has a dirty big chip out of the side of it, or it's more of a part of the phone. The screen's pretty much missing. It has 6 huge hairline fractures. I'll get some B-roll close-ups of that, and it's also got a bit of a blow on the back of it as well. So yeah, for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you will have seen that I got this a few weeks ago and I was mighty impressed, super excited when I opened it up, because I'm not really a phone guy. I leave all that stuff to Tim. I use my phone for Twitter, messaging and phone calls. Not a whole lot of stuff really. I don't spend much time on it, mainly because I'm usually at my desktop PC. But when I'm out about traveling, it is good to have a really good phone, especially something with a good camera so you can do those Instagram shots and tweets and whatnot. So I wanted to upgrade to this from my Note 4, which I don't actually have on me right now, but my Note 4 I had for 2.5 years, and I dropped the hell out of that thing. Probably over that time it had a dozen good falls. No scratches really, definitely no cracks. It's in perfect working order. It's got a couple of little bruises around the edges on the on the frame, but nothing major. It's got one dent in the back of it, but because it's a textured plastic backing, that's not a problem. But yeah, I'd say the phone's in really, really good operating condition. Really like it. Loved that phone. It served me well, but the camera in it's not great. This is a huge improvement. So picked this thing up straight away. The phone just feels amazing, even though it's a bit slippery with the glass all round. It's kind of like I'd liken it to picking up a bar of soap at times. It's that bad. You can't pin it in here. It just wants to slide out the whole time, so you can't sort of pin it here and do that. You've definitely got to put it on speakerphone. So it's something to be aware of, and yeah, you've got to be really careful picking it up because it is a slippery sucker, but it does feel incredibly nice. Very, very premium. And of course, the screen just looks amazing. There's no phone really out there that competes with it in terms of its screen. Performance is great. Like I said, videos, photos, all fantastic, all around great phone. And you will, if you've watched pretty much any reviews, you will have heard reviewers raving about how good it is. The problem is, it's pretty much the most fragile phone, or I think it is the most fragile phone to ever be created. And that's keeping iPhones in mind as well. It makes those things look like tanks. Even the smallest, slightest slip up and you're going to have a bad day with this thing. Even the slimline cases, I've seen people have the slim cases on them, dropped them from less than a meter and they've still shattered the screen. So I've got this big bulky thing, which I don't even really think will protect it from a decent fall anyway. But how I broke mine, probably should let you guys know that. I had it in my pocket. I was sitting in my desk chair in a fairly low setting. My backside would have only been about 40 centimeters off the ground, and I have carpet. So yeah, it's fallen out of my pocket because, like I said, it's like it's on wheels basically when it's in your pocket. It just flies out of there. It's that slippery. There's nothing slowing it down. So it slid out of my pocket. I didn't even hear it or feel it coming out of my pocket. The first I knew about it was when it hit the ground, and it hit my plastic caster wheel before it hit the carpet. And it obviously caught the screen right on the edge and it shattered in a big way. You can feel the hairline fractures the whole way through the screen when you're swiping and stuff. Yeah, the phone was, I think, 4 days old, and it's an $1,100, at least an $1,100 Aussie phone. And yeah, it lasted me 4 days. Tiny fall from 40 centimeters onto plastic, and it shattered the screen. And I was so disappointed and pissed off at the time that I picked it up and I literally just went like that onto my desk and cracked the back. I don't know what it hit on my desk. I think it was the edge of my keyboard. It was just literally like what you just saw then. Yeah, it's pretty pathetic how fragile it is. I don't know if many of you guys have hopped over to Square Trade's channel and had a look at their Galaxy S8 drop test, just to show how fragile the phone is. Their test was kind of extreme. They test a 6-foot controlled drop landing on the screen and then the back. Both times it looked like the thing had been to war and back. It was just, looked like it had bullet holes all over it. It was just a complete and utter mess. And they say it's the most fragile phone they've ever seen. I did a bit of Googling when I did break it to see if there was any relatively cost-effective ways of replacing it. Turns out there wasn't. But while researching, I came across quite a few stories, news stories that were quoting repair outlets saying that they're just absolutely loving these things. Their business is booming. They've never seen a new phone released and then such a quick turnaround time for just large volumes of cracked screens. So again, they were confirming that they're just unbelievably fragile. And it's at least, starting price, I think it's at least 300 Australian dollars to replace the screen. I did have insurance on mine, which I pay $15 a month for, and it was still $220 with Telstra, so yeah, that's fantastic. So it cost me $220 to get a replacement phone, so after 4 days, yeah, I was already up for more than $200 to replace it. So I won't be keeping it. I pretty much want to get rid of it. I'll replace it with the new LG or something more durable. I've got to speak to Tim, work out something that's better, but it's really disappointing because otherwise I just love the phone. It's so nice to use. It functions really well. It just has 0 durability rating. So yeah, very disappointing. But I got my new one now. Hopefully, I'm going to put it in a thick case. Don't know if you guys have one and know of a good case that I can get, because I need it to survive the week at Computex. And right now I'm terrified to pick it up. It's just the most impractical thing to have in your life. Yeah, it's just hopeless. So I'm looking forward to getting rid of it and getting something else. So yeah, I mean, the reviews aren't bad on them. The review was all right. As long as you don't drop it, you're good to go. But yeah, I don't want a phone in my life or any item in my life where I have to treat it that carefully, because there is going to be a slip up here and there. Like I said, over the 2.5 years I had my Note 4, probably a dozen slip-ups over that time. Things happen, as they say. Really, I wouldn't recommend this phone. I feel cheated buying this. It really is rubbish. It's that fragile. It's not practical. It's not you. I mean, like I said, the camera on it's amazing. It's good for what I do, but it's completely useless because if I dropped it from here to my desk, it would probably shatter the screen. There's a high probability of that happening. That's not really good enough. So I wouldn't recommend anyone get the new Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. I'd recommend you avoid it like the plague. So a lot of people are going to be upset that I've said that, but yeah, I'm going to get rid of mine. That's my honest opinion. I know Tim will be reviewing one shortly, and he'll probably be going over how great the features are like other reviewers have, but he will be noting that it's extremely fragile. And just be aware of that if you are going to have one, that there's a good chance at some point you're going to break it unless you have a giant case. So just to give you an example, I mean, I'm not saying this is a fantastic case or anything. It's something I just grabbed off eBay because I didn't want to take this anywhere without it being in a case. So I've got this big rubberized thing that wraps around, and you can just see how big and bulky and ugly it makes the phone. I've never ever understood the point of cases. I do not get them. Why buy a phone that needs one of these to survive? Just buy a durable phone. Like my Note 4, that thing is pretty tough to break. I gave it, I mean, I'm not super careless, but I gave it a bit of a hard time. I don't treat my phone like it's a precious gem. And yeah, that's just crap. Why would you put a sleek, nice, brand new phone in something like that? So like I said, if you guys know of a good case that isn't like this, let me know because I would like to put this in it. Lastly, I did come across a Reddit post, which I shouldn't say is funny because it's exactly my experience. But only a few days after the phone was released, a user jumped on Reddit, and there's dozens upon dozens, probably hundreds upon hundreds of stories like this on the internet now. You don't have to dig too far into the Google search results to find tons of people complaining about smashing their S8 screen. But like I said, mine slipped out of my pocket, hit a caster wheel, and hit the ground from 40cm drop it was, but obviously it landed on the edge, which is a very, very weak, fragile point of the phone. But this user said, I love this phone. It's exceeded my wildest expectations. However, I dropped the phone from less than a foot and it has shattered. Called a couple of phone shops and none of them fixed it yet. Absolutely devastated. Has anyone else broken their screen and got it fixed? And then another guy, this is only a couple of days, like less than a week after release. And this user says, I cracked my screen too, but he already got it replaced. He paid $148 US. Which is about $200 Australian, which is pretty similar to what I paid to have mine replaced. And then you go on, there's a few other people in here saying they've cracked theirs, shattered theirs, totally destroyed theirs. And what they all have in common is extremely small drops. They're not like the 6-foot drop that Square Trader did. It's just, yeah, literally half desk height onto fairly soft surfaces and they're shattering. Anyway, enough whinging about the S8 Plus. I'll solve that issue by getting rid of mine, hopefully in the not too distant future. Alright, still really keen to put that test bed together, but we'll move on. Okay, let's go with this box here, see what we got in here. Need something to make me feel better about just wasting $220 on a phone I just bought. Well, that's going to do it. Love getting an Aorus graphics card in the mail, and it's the new GTX 1060 9GB/s model. So that's going to cheer me up a bit, I think. We'll get into that and have a look. As you guys know, I did pick the RX 480 over the GTX 1060, and I was using the Aorus brand RX 580, which is still, here it is, still floating around. So this is the card I picked over the 1060 9GB/s card. I didn't have the Aorus version because I've obviously just received that. So it might be interesting to do for the review a bit of a head-to-head with these two. Here we go. Okay, so it's a very different design. Probably shouldn't have thrown that box, but anyway. Okay, so I'd say there's a beefier cooler on the RX 580 card. Gigabyte of, or Aorus have stepped up their game on the Radeon cards. That's pretty impressive. This is definitely a more streamlined model. They're both... okay, so this one's actually a 3-slot cooler, whereas the NVIDIA card is a 2-slot cooler. So yeah, more streamlined, more slim. And obviously just a single 8-pin connector. You've still got that little copper insert in the back. The back plates are actually quite similar. Not the same, but similar. It does cover the whole length of the PCB. So the Aorus GTX 1060 9GB/s model, this is selling for $400 US. So the 9GB/s 1060s, which I found to offer really nothing over the 8GB/s models, they're selling for quite a hefty premium that isn't really justified when it comes to performance. And that does see the card selling for $465 Aussie. So yeah, very pricey card. I believe that makes it a bit more expensive, or quite a bit more expensive than this big Aorus RX 580. This one does have I think the core clock out of the box is overclocked by 9%. It's 1645 megahertz. And I think that results in a boost frequency of 1870-ish. I think it's 73 from memory. And I think that's about 10% overclock. So out of the box, you could expect at best up to about 10% over a stock card. Not that there is a Founders Edition 9GB/s 1060. So yeah, anyway, it's a good looking card. It's nice and slim. It should fit into tighter spots than the RX 580, though it is a fraction longer, a couple of mil longer. Shorter in the height department, and as I said, it's a whole slot thinner. Not that you can have these in SLI or anything like that anyway, whereas you can have these in Crossfire. But there you go. Perhaps a Aorus comparison between these two in the works. Yeah, we'll see. Alright, time to have a look at what's in this little package. Cool. Did not know this was coming. So, got some crucial ballistics memory here. Haven't looked at this stuff for quite some time. So they are 16GB kits, each dual channel 16GB kits. I believe they've sent these for use with Ryzen platforms, but not 100% sure on that. I imagine they are though. So this is a 3200 kit, 3000 kit. As I said, they're both 8GB modules, a pair of 8GB modules in each kit. Both designed to run at 1.35 volts. Okay, so the timings for the 3000 memory are 15, 16, 16, 35. And for the 3200 memory, they are also 15, 16, 16, 35. So this is slightly more premium stuff, which probably isn't that surprising looking at the heat spreaders on them. And so this is ballistics tactical. And this would be their elite stuff, I believe. Ballistics Elite or something like that. I don't recall, and for some reason the name isn't on the packet, so that's not helping me out at all. Maybe it's just called Ballistics, I don't know. Anyway, you will see these featured in some builds shortly. Yeah. Okay, last, but probably not least, because it's the biggest box we have here, is another MSI box, and it looks like another laptop, which is interesting, because MSI just sent me a laptop in the last episode. I wonder if they've sent me the same laptop twice. That does happen. You'd be surprised how often that happens. Not from MSI, just from companies in general. This is a brand new laptop, this one. That is a rare thing to get, a brand new laptop review sample. Normally they're all pretty well used by the time they get to us. Oh, the Stealth Pro. Okay, well this isn't the same as the one we got last week. The one last week, that's probably giving you some hell reflection, isn't it? I can just tell. The one last week was the Phantom Pro. Phantom Pro. You probably saw the review of that last night. Anyway, enough waffling. Okay, so this is a similar spec'd machine to the Phantom Pro, though it is bigger. That was a 14-inch model. This is 15.6. Still an IPS anti-glare panel, full high definition, so still 1080p. It has the 7700 HQ again, and we've got a GeForce GTX 1060 6GB. So again, that's the same graphics card or GPU. And then we have a 256GB SSD. I believe that's an NVMe, so it's probably the same as the other one. And a 1TB secondary hard drive and 16GB of DDR4. So it looks to be very similar, just slightly larger. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Packaging is also identical. Holy moly, that is a thin laptop. Is this the laptop? Look at... Wow. Wow. That is super nice. Holy moly. So, that is a seriously thin gaming laptop. So that has a Core i7-7700 in it and a GTX 1060. It's got what looks like a massive heatsink in it for a thin, quite long there and there. So that's probably the GPU side, CPU side there. Also, there's ventilation on both sides as well, and you can see heatsink fins running. So there'll be multiple heatsinks in this thing by the looks of it, at least 4, possibly 5. And a heap of connectivity as well. This thing looks amazing. Wow. For such a thin laptop, we have 3 USB Type A ports. 3 in this side. Card reader, full-size Ethernet port, dual audio jacks. I like how far forward they are. And then on the other side, another USB 3, or maybe that's a USB 2. Could be a Type 2, but it's a Type A anyway, so that's good for, you know, a wireless mouse or something. HDMI, display port. No. Yes, that's a display port. And a Type C connector, so that would be, and it looks like it's Thunderbolt support there. And your power input and the power buttons hidden on the side here, so that's quite nifty. Let's peel together the most satisfying part of any expensive purchase. Here we go, you ready? You ready? Ooh. Satisfying. Now the moment I touch this nice brush just like I did there, brushed aluminium panel, it'll never look the same again. But in this moment, it looks quite spiffy indeed. Nice flat brushed aluminium panel. I'm not really going to want to send this back. Maybe I can convince them to leave it with me. So you guys leave a lot of comments saying, I think MSI should leave this with Steve for future testing. A lot of those comments I want to see, and then that might convince them. Wow, it's got like a suede bottom. That's very nice. I'm really impressed with this thing. I think I'm going to have to do a review on it. I don't even think I'll palm it off to Tim. I want to check this out. I'm actually pretty keen to see how the gaming performance with the 1060 in this thing is compared to a full-size desktop. So that's quite incredible. It's got a SteelSeries keyboard, and I just had a look online, and it is 17.7 millimeters thick. So that's incredible. That's quite a bit thinner than the Gigabyte Aero 15 that Tim just looked at, and he was super impressed with that. Hasn't got the super slim bezel. I mean, the bezel's still quite slim, but it's not like the Aero 15. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's got a large bezel or anything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go play with this right now, I think. Alright, well that about does it for this episode of Unboxing Boxes. I got 32 gigs of memory from Crucial, so that will be going in a build. You'll be seeing that soon. I've got the new 9 gigabits per second GTX 1060, the Aorus brand card, and I'll probably review these two together because I haven't reviewed this card. I did feature it in the massive 27 game comparison, but I haven't done like a board partner card review on it. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want 2 separate reviews, or would you like to see these featured in the same review side by side? I think that could be kind of cool and something a bit different. Then I've got that awesome wet bench test bed. I'm going to put that together right now, so hopefully you'll see some B-roll of that in this video complete. And then when I get back from Computex, I don't think I'll have time this week because I've still got to do that Cooler Master build this week as well before I go to Computex, and there's a few other things as well. I've got to do an RX 570 versus 1063 gigabyte comparison. That'll probably happen on the weekend. But anyway, a lot of stuff to do. I also want to review that. I don't know if I'll be able to fit that in this week, but I'm going to start testing and using it tonight, playing some games on it and seeing how good it is. Because, yeah, super impressed with that. I'll probably take this to Computex with me as well as that one. Because, yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, and then, of course, I've got my new phone, which I'm going to have to pretty much just try and not drop. So we'll see how that goes. And then this one, I might actually do a cheeky drop test with it before I mail it back. Not that it's really necessary. Don't drop these by any more than about the length of the phone. Even then, I reckon if you stood it on its end like that and let it fall forward onto something, it would shatter. Totally pathetic. But anyway, that's kind of a rant, a miserable downside of what's usually a light-hearted segment. But yeah, big thank you to PLE Computers for sending out the wet bench. Can't wait to put that together. Thank you to Gigabyte for sending that out, but they obviously just want a review. And MSI for sending me this laptop. They'd probably want a review as well, but they're going to get one because this thing looks cool. So, that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too much ranting and sort of miserable tone. But anyway, I'm your host, Steve. I'll see you again soon.